Something can do for you. Do you wanna do for doing it? Money, 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 money. Gotta get that money, 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 money. Yeah, I wonder what show we're reviewing.
Can you believe that it is the 2-year anniversary of WWE returning in front of live crowds
No,
after the COVID pandemic?
I didn't even
Yeah,
think about that. Oh my God,
money.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Time
realized that
flies.
before the show started. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we went off without a hitch, and this was a huge show today, emanating from the UK in London. It is
The
Money in the
O2.
Bank. The
Mm-hmm.
O2 Arena, Money in the Bank. I feel like WWE is now in the habit of doing these big pay-per-views out of country and in different style arenas. We got the return of what they did for Backlash here and kind of a smaller stage and a more jagged, narrow ramp, which I think is cool. I feel like if they're not going to give us these big elaborate sets like we used to get for the Backlashes, the Judgment Days, the Bad Bloods, the Vengeances, at least we get something different here. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? This will probably start wearing out its welcome if they do it for like a couple years straight. But again, it's nice.
You also realize that if they do the entrance stages this way, as much as I love the classic pay-per-view entrance stages of, like the Ruthless Aggression era and what have you, this whole jagged rampway allows them to fill more seats in that arena.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. Because that's
know,
what Nick Khan is about. At the end of the day, he wants more money lying in his pocket, so he's going to do whatever it takes to make as much ticket sales as possible. I do like this too because it does bring me back to the Madison Square Garden shows with your Survivor Series 2002,
you're right.
Your Royal Rumble 2008, the classic Raws that they used to do. I like it. It's like a more intimate setting.
Yeah, except there were like 18,000 rabid British fans in the arena. And let me say, you guys brought your A game, and this will be something that we'll touch on later. You guys deserve a WrestleMania, and I want to see WrestleMania overseas. I don't care that I have to watch it in the middle of the day. Like 12 noon is a great time to watch a pay-per-view Pacific Standard Time. And if like we watched, like if WrestleMania was in London, like you could just make it a whole day out of it, like the Super Bowl in a sense. So
I mean, we already do, and we already did for the longest time because back in like 2017, 2018, 2019, my day would start with WrestleMania like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it wouldn't get done until like about 8 o'clock at night. So it's nothing really new for us. Now it's just split into 2 different days. But
nothing
more on
new.
that later. This was kind of a big deal for WWE because if you remember, speaking of Money in the Bank last year was supposed to be at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the site of SummerSlam 2022. SummerSlam 2021 was supposed to be in the Allegiant Stadium, and then Money in the Bank 2022 was supposed to be there as well, but they did not sell enough seats. I don't think Las Vegas is that hot of a crowd when it comes to wrestling. So they weren't able to fill out that stadium, and it was sad that they had to move to a different venue at the last second. It looks like London, the UK was clamoring for a pay-per-view, and we'll touch on that again later because they filled this up, and this was not as rabid as Puerto Rico, I will say, but the UK made some noise.
They totally did. They had the funniest song chants that we'll get into, but oh boy howdy, this is the Money in the Bank show, so you're gonna get 2 ladder matches here. If you're a wrestling fan, you know the gimmick. It's a big, gigantic schmoz of a ladder match. It's a gigantic mess. There's a briefcase hanging above the ring, which has turned into like a lunchbox branded like Money in the Bank briefcase. And like at any time over the next 12 months, you can cash in this contract for a championship match of your choice at any time.
And on the pre-show, they noted that there have been 30 Money in the Bank ladder matches over the course of, I want to say, 18 years now. This was a brilliant concept from the mind of one Chris Jericho back in 2005 to basically build a new star by giving them this briefcase that allowed them to cash in a championship match whenever they wanted. And when I was a kid, I didn't understand the concept of whenever you wanted. And then when Edge cashed in the first ever Money in the Bank on a prone John Cena after an Elimination Chamber match, it clicked with me there that no, you can cash this briefcase in whenever you want. It doesn't have to be a match that's built up over the past couple of weeks. You could attack somebody in the parking lot. You could attack somebody after a match. You could attack them in the aisleway. If they're vulnerable, they were right for the pickings. And a lot of wrestlers have made their name by cashing in this championship. and it's a very exciting time, and it's really become a
Mm-hmm.
staple of WWE. Even it's right up there with classic Survivor Series matches, Royal Rumble matches. Like it made its home at WrestleMania, but now has evolved into its own pay per view. I'm still very neutral about that. I would love to see Money in the Bank return on WrestleMania, but it feels like WWE wants to cash in more, no pun intended, by making this a standalone show. It's just
Yeah.
awkward when you say I'm challenging you for a championship at Money in the Bank. It doesn't sound as cool as saying I'm challenging you at Unforgiven or No Mercy or Bad Blood, so like that,
Payback, fast lane,
yeah, Backlash, Judgment Day. You know what I mean? It doesn't really roll
Mm-hmm.
off the tongue. I thank God Triple H is doing away with these because I hated how all the pay per views were named after matches. It got
Yeah.
so bad in the beginning that there was a pay per view called Fatal Four Way. Like, who the hell wants to go to Fatal Four Way? Like, what's next? Handicap match. What's
Falls
next?
count anywhere.
6-man tag team match. The pay per view. Like, that's not a pay per view. That's a
It's a match type. It's a match type that you'd see on SmackDown play up. But I mean, I feel like we're digressing too much. Money in the Bank
just a little bit of the
2023.
history of the Money in the Bank.
Yes, July 1st from July 1st of this year, obviously, at the time of recording. London, England, rabid hot crowd. And we kick it off. They don't waste any time. Similar move to what Triple H did at the Royal Rumble 6 months ago. Opening with the men's Royal Rumble match. We open with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match here. You get Butch, you get Santos Escobar, you get Damian Priest, you get Shinsuke Nakamura, you get Ricochet, you get LA Knight, and Logan Paul. And first things first, Tomas, I did not know abortions could climb ladders. So
it is,
good
Logan
Lord.
Paul was truly the wild card in this match. He was added in at the last second when he showed up on Raw and just declared himself for the match without even having to qualify. That really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Stop right there. Logan Paul comes out, cuts a promo, and says that he made some calls and he's in the ladder match. Every single other participant in here had to qualify. So immediately I'm like, that's a Vince McMahon move, and it made me very scared watching this match indeed.
I wasn't as anxious with this because, as you see in this match, I will say they did not put Logan Paul on a pedestal in this match. He had to work just like everybody else, and he felt like he fit in, as another cog in the ladder match. And a very interesting theme of this ladder match was every single person in this match has never held a world championship.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this. Like, this is what the Money in the Bank should be all about, elevating your new talent into the main event. And that's exactly what Triple H did. I mean, say what you want about a certain someone not winning this match, but I feel like giving him the exposure, and you're hearing the reactions that this person is getting, I think they're going to be just fine. That's just my mindset. I mean, would it have been great if he won? Would it have been great if he won? Absolutely. But I mean, I think he's going to be just fine. And I think the person they picked, thank God it wasn't Logan Paul. But very, very happy with this.
One thing I also noticed about this match, you had Ricochet, Logan Paul, and Santos Escobar, which were your high flyers. But then you had Nakamura, Priest, and Butch, who were really your hard hitters, your stiff guys. And you got a little bit of everything in this ladder match. You got your really good high flying spots, and you got these really stiff spots that we'll get into a little bit. The match starts off with, these wrestlers are rubbed the wrong way that Logan did not have to qualify for this match, so they immediately gang up on him and throw him out of the ring. And that is a match that is a theme that kind of like plays on with this match. Whenever they get a chance, they do gang up on Logan because from a kayfabe standpoint, if you truly don't want Logan to win this match, that's what you got to do. You got to gang up on him at every point and don't give him an opportunity to go for that ladder. And I'm going to give Logan credit. He bumped his ass off for the guys in this match.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give him credit somewhere. But yeah, he was essentially the Muhammad Hassan of this match. He enters the ring final, and all 6 other full-time wrestlers surround him, and they are rubbed the wrong way that he did not have to qualify to enter this match. So they all gang up on him. They beat the crap out of him, and the London crowd loved seeing that because, I mean, Logan Paul makes his entrance. They don't really give a shit about him. And
well, I wouldn't say they don't give a shit about him. They don't like him. If they didn't give a shit about him, they would be dead silent. But they don't like him. They made that. And what a crazy contrast it was that literally LA Knight came out right before Logan Paul. and the most over guy versus a guy who is very much hated. But you know what they say in the business? A bad reaction is better than no reaction whatsoever. That's something John Cena has preached for years. But
Uh-huh.
speaking of Logan in this match, he really is like the definition of that nagging heel that's in the match. He really disrupts a lot of people's offense. Like Shinsuke Nakamura goes for a running Kinshasa to Priest on who's laying on a ladder, and Logan immediately grabs his leg, stops him, and then sweeps him from under, and Nakamura goes face first into the ring apron.
Uh-huh.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, I don't remember the sequence of a lot of stuff, but
yeah, so Logan,
there were some really cool spots.
Logan shortly after that hit Damian Priest, who was bridged on that ladder, hitting him with a frog splash, and the ladder did not give way. Again,
yeah, not before Logan launched himself over the top rope and Priest nailed him with a nasty looking elbow. So, welcome to the business, kid. You know, he's only worked with The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Roman Reigns,
Seth
now
Rollins.
He's getting in there with the really stiff full timers.
And Damian Priest took Logan's head off nearly with a clothesline after Logan teased a team up between him and Damian Priest because he says, "You're tall, I'm tall. Let's run the gamut." Perfect. Yeah, just because of your height. Yeah, because of your height, you should team up. Yeah.
Because, you know, in a Royal Rumble match, sure, you could create short-lived alliances until you get to the end, and then it's every man for himself. Even in a championship ladder match, you could like strike a deal with someone like, hey, help me win this, and you're going to get the first title shot. With the briefcase, it's every man for themselves, like truly, because if you make any alliances and your partner grabs the briefcase, they can't let you challenge for that. They can't say, you know, that's a lot of stupid trust you have to put into someone to team up with them in this match. But
yeah,
Ricochet with an amazing spot where Butch has Santos Escobar in a sleeper hold laying on the ladder, and Ricochet comes out of nowhere and barely clears a springboard 450.
Oh, yeah, there was a Ricochet, I would argue, and I'm so happy to be saying this, Ricochet was the MVP of this match. There was a point where he shoots like a laser through a ladder, and he goes like, you know, and does like a springboard like con hilo onto a big crop of talent on the outside. Ricochet is a superstar. He is money. I hope this guy gets pushed into like a whole other level soon. But again, it's like I've been saying that for years, but you can't push everybody. Can't push everybody.
Another really MVP of this match was Santos Escobar, which came out with an Aztec warrior getup with his gear and his face paint. He was doing some really cool stuff in this match, hitting some really stiff spots as well.
He did good.
Ricochet coming through with a running shooting star press for Logan. And I noticed another thing about this match, that it was a lot of defense. There was a lot of people, you know, pulling each other off of ladders, trying to keep them from getting up to that briefcase. Nakamura with his running sliding German suplex that he usually does on the ropes, he does to Escobar. Oh no, he does the Ricochet while he's sitting on a ladder, and Ricochet took a nasty bump there.
Yeah, how could we forget Pete Dunne pulling out the cricket bat towards the start of this match and just walloping people with it? That was a great freaking tribute to the London crowd, and the London crowd was chanting bruiserweight at him. Sooner or later, I think Triple H is going to get rid of that name. I think he's going to get rid of that name, but
I'm sure it's on his to-do list. Just lot on the plate of Mr. Levesque.
Sure is. But yeah, so running shooting star press, Escobar with a phantom driver on Ricochet, which is a great move. This is just so freaking like exciting. This is everything you'd want in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Guys who haven't quite been elevated to that next level, and they're just like throwing everything at the wall to try and get a shot at this title that may never come again for any of these people.
Yeah, this was probably the scariest spot in the match. Ricochet and Logan are fighting on top of a ladder, and Knight comes in and tries to pull both Logan and Ricochet off, but they're able to retaliate. LA Knight then shoves them both off a ladder. Both Ricochet and Logan get caught up in the ropes, and it kind of fucks up their spot. But Ricochet being just so quick and nimble as he is, he's able to somewhat salvage the spot at the very last second and does somewhat of a springboard Spanish fly through two tables that were set up by Priest and Logan. And Ricochet, with, again, the moment of the night, sacrificing himself so Logan wouldn't break his neck, and kind of like twisting himself in midair so his head, top of his head, bounced off one of the tables, but they were both able to, for the most part, safely crash through the second table, and that was scary. That was absolutely scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Just Ricochet did not have to do that either. Because, like, honestly, if they make one other mistake out of, what Ricochet was adjusting into, Logan Paul would have a broken neck.
Yeah, they both would have been in a very, very, very bad spot. So
Ricochet took a brunt of that damage.
Yeah.
Brunt of that damage.
Ricochet for protecting his opponent.
Yeah, like I said, Ricochet, I would say, is the MVP of this match. The audience, I would say their MVP was LA Knight. Wouldn't you say, Tomas?
He was probably the most over, and it's crazy how LA Knight can get into these fights with baby faces, and he's getting the crowd to boo baby faces. He, in the span of like a week, he's made the fans boo not only Rey Mysterio but Shinsuke Nakamura as well, because he gets into a trading punches with him. I feel like, didn't also Butch take a really nasty spot off the ladder that I can't remember exactly what it was?
Totally did. But LA Knight was the odds-on favorite going in, and I must say, Tomas.
I remember now. Priest and Butch were fighting atop the ladder, and Butch takes a south side of heaven off of the ladder, and that was what it was. Does not buckle.
Nope.
And it's crazy because Butch takes that spot and he lays himself out, and the look on his face is like, okay, I'm going to bed now. I'm done. I'm done for the night.
He was eliminated from the equation. I must say, Tomas, I was not expecting you to go into in-depth of an answer when I said, the crowd must have liked LA Knight. I was expecting you to say something else. Yeah.
So LA Knight really starts kicking it into full gear here, and he's able to get rid of Nakamura. Escobar tries to fend him off, and he's hit with the BFT. And then, I think it was then.
Great finisher, Nakamura, by the way.
BFT, great finisher. And once he clears the ring of everybody, you think of the three people he just took out. He took out Priest, he took out Nakamura, he took out Escobar, and nobody is in his way now. And it's like, this is it. LA Knight's going to win this. He climbs the ladder, but Damian Priest is right there at the very last second to fight him off. And, props to Knight again. He takes a falcon arrow off the ladder, lands right on his fucking tailbone. God. And Priest grabs the briefcase and wins. I'm very happy that Damian Priest won this match.
Me too.
Reading in between the lines, and you look at what retrospective we're doing right now, Damian Priest is really evolving into the Batista of his generation. And it looks like Triple H loves him, and he's ready to launch this guy into the stratosphere. And if you notice on TV, he's starting to have some dissension with Finn Balor. This is going to be an excellent storytelling element that they can use to carry Priest through the year when he eventually does cash that in. And that's another thing. Take your time with this. Let Priest hold that briefcase for at least 6 months. Considering that Rollins just won this title a month ago, and the briefcase doesn't have to be cashed in until he has a year. So
contrary to what Brock Lesnar believes, Damian Priest does got a year to cash this thing in.
Let this cook. Let this thing cook. Let Rollins have a healthy 6 month reign, 7th month reign with the World Heavyweight title. And then when Priest catches in, he'll be ready.
Oh, absolutely. And this is something I didn't even think about. LA Knight, it would have been great for the moment, but I think long term, Damian Priest was the best choice. And I'll tell you why. I mean, a lot of people were looking at this thinking Damian Priest could have been a real dark horse to win this thing. Because, I mean, I know LA Knight is the sentimental favorite. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have loved to have seen LA Knight win because, he was my pick also. Yeah, I would have loved to see LA Knight win. But the thing with Damian Priest, exactly what you said, he is like the Batista of the Judgment Day. And this could be like a really nice, beefy storyline where Damian Priest is eventually kicked out of the Judgment Day. Maybe Finn Balor does win the World Heavyweight Championship down the line and Damian Priest cashes in on him. And
you look at Priest's momentum since 2021 getting called into the main roster. Name another guy, because we talk about the failed NXT call-ups. Name another guy that they have booked so consistently well like Damian Priest. He had a really good babyface run, going into WrestleMania, teaming with Bad Bunny. He had a healthy run with the United States Championship. And then once things were getting a tiny bit stale, the Judgment Day happened. They turned him heel. He has been running roughshod. And now that he has had, all of this experience these past couple years, I think Triple H sees money in him, and he's ready to push this guy to the moon.
Who knew that Punishment Martinez would be a huge star in WWE, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I knew it from the very beginning. They called him up at the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago. I'm like, this guy has so much of like the tools of a prototypical WWE main eventer. Like,
I love it. Damian Priest is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. He's great. I think he's going to have a lengthy run with this briefcase, and eventually, once he does cash it in, eventually with a title on him. Please put a world title on him this time. Don't just I feel like if he cashes in on a mid-card title like the IC or the US, like it's just taking a step backward.
I think, even though Triple H did put that rule, I think Damian Priest will cash in. And it's like, here's the thing. Do you want him to be the second world champion, or just like maybe hold it out? Because in a perfect world, I would love to see Priest and Balor feud for this title. But I don't want, I don't see Balor winning this championship anytime soon.
Well, I mean, you never know. You never know. Give Seth Rollins a lengthy run with it, and we'll see where this goes. But I'm not going to assume anymore. I'm not going to assume anymore. That's been the theme of 23. This is a very unpredictable Money in the Bank pay-per-view.
Also, with LA Knight, once again, if LA Knight were to win the briefcase, he's on SmackDown. Roman Reigns is the world champion. That is on totally different levels. And you know what? We learned our lesson with last year with Austin Theory. No one's touching Reigns with this title. He is in an entirely different universe on its own when it comes to the storytelling.
No pun intended.
He's being booked. Yeah. And how he's being booked, that I don't think a guy like LA Knight, nothing against him, could cash in on Roman Reigns and, be realistically successful. I don't want to see him waste on you. Yeah, sure, Knight could jump shows, but I just think, it would be more beneficial. So LA Knight,
absolutely,
it's easy. I don't know why they're sitting on him so much, even though it's so popular. It's so easy to do.
Oh, God.
Look, I know LA Knight is a good heel, but the cheers are so loud that they can't be ignored anymore. You turn him babyface. You have him dethrone Austin Theory for the United States Championship. You let LA Knight hold that United States Championship for a year. And then when you see what the landscape looks like next year, then, then you can put a world title on him. I get it. He's 40 years old. But you know what? I don't fucking care. He's over.
Yeah.
He's in amazing shape.
He's our generation's DDP. Did you see the bumps he was taking? Like, there's no way that half the roster at 40 years old will be taking, like, most of the bumps LA Knight was taking in this thing. So I think he's got some time left on the clock. But this is a fantastic Money in the Bank match, man. I'm going 4.5 stars. Very athletic, super exciting all the way through. I think everybody looks great, even the ones in defeat, like an LA Knight who was over like mad in London. Damian Priest, I think, is a great choice to win, all things considered. And really great. Ricochet was the MVP. Please give him some more attention.
Super, super, super fun. And like I said, I'm gonna give the devil his due. They did not put Logan Paul on a pedestal in this match. They did not make him the MVP of this match. He was in there probably for shock value and to add a little more star power to the match, but he was not a factor whatsoever.
Thank God. Thank God. But anyhow, so up next, it's Damian Priest, Senior Money in the Bank. I can't wait to see where it goes. But up next is probably the match I was least looking forward to on this card.
This match, I felt, when I saw this match get announced for the show, I said one thing. Why? We have seen this match a couple of times. It hasn't been that interesting. I had no interest in seeing this. And another thing that really rubbed me the wrong way is that Liv Morgan returned on SmackDown. She's not on fucking SmackDown. I will literally preach that until I am blue in the face. The tag team champions can bounce between both shows. You have Liv Morgan fucking return on Raw. It's like, we're not fucking stupid. Don't treat us like we're fucking stupid. I don't understand why they did that. But also, it's like, we've seen this match so many times. Rousey and Baszler just beat Morgan and Rodriguez for these tag team titles. So why are we running it back? And this really felt like a super throwaway match. It's no secret. Ronda Rousey's star power has fizzled out. She is honestly just another woman on the roster. And if she is as miserable as she says she is, she should just ask for her release because, seeing that kind of attitude backstage is just not, it's toxic. So I don't understand what the point of Ronda Rousey sticking around is, here's the thing about Ronda Rousey. She has an attitude. She's not making it a secret that she has an attitude. And it's clear that she has a lot of heat backstage. They're not going to put that women's championship back on her anytime soon. So
Never.
I don't see the appeal of Ronda Rousey and her star power is almost non-existent.
Oh, it's definitely non-existent. You know, like we could sense this even last year when she was holding the SmackDown Women's Championship and wrestling people like Xia Li, Shotzi, not really putting them over the way they should be. But here she is, and she has said that she's wanted to elevate the women's tag team titles, where like Sasha Banks and Naomi were the last people who said that, and look where that got them. You know?
Yeah, these women's tag team titles are cursed, and you know what?
Yep.
It's going to really play into the end of this match. I feel like Ronda Rousey, believe it or not, has been the ball and chain who's been holding Shayna Baszler back, because this poor woman cannot catch a fucking break. She has been on the main roster for 4 years, and they haven't done jack shit with her. And every time I see this vicious cycle repeat itself, it makes me angry. So this is standard tag team.
I mean, she wasn't really that great in NXT. I'm just saying, but
she was a fucking monster in NXT.
Yeah, she was, but her matches were never that great either.
She was like female Brock Lesnar, and you know, I miss that. I really miss the way they booked her in NXT.
Her matches were always the weakest part of those takeovers, circa 2017, 2018.
So I thought she had a very good match with Bianca Belair.
Listen,
back when I wasn't even that hot on Bianca Belair.
That's the only exception, though. That's the only exception. If you really think back, like the year 2018 in NXT, what do you remember it for? The DIY implosion, right? You know, you think of Aleister Black ascending to the top. Like, you don't think about Shayna Baszler's dominance really at all. Like
in the women's division, I do. She ran roughshod. But this is your standard women's tag team match. Nothing really wrong here. 3 very talented women in this match, and it's just a shame that they're kind of relegated to this. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't paying too much attention to this.
Me neither.
This was probably the biggest surprise. Like, I don't want to say the biggest, but you want to talk about catching me off guard,
bro.
So Raquel Rodriguez gets the hot tag to Morgan, and while Morgan is wrestling Rousey, out of fucking nowhere, Shayna Baszler turns on Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Just out of fucking nowhere, out of the fucking blue. Blink and you would have missed it. It's like if you had friendly fire turned on while playing WWE 2K23 and you just beat the shit out of your partner for no reason. It was that sudden. It was unprovoked. It was not hinted at whatsoever. So props to Shayna Baszler for really pulling that surprise factor out.
God, dude, I was shocked. Like, I was, you know this, because I was over there watching this show, and I was on my phone. I was just scrolling through my text messages, just kind of catching my bearings, and lo and behold, Shayna Baszler's attacking her partner. This was never teased, advertised, or hinted at in any storylines like building up to this. If it was, I don't remember it at all, because I couldn't really give 2 shits about any Ronda Rousey story anymore.
For the past year and a half, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler have been 2 peas in a pod. They've been inseparable. They've been the only established tag team on the roster. So we were all just clamoring for this, and just for this turn to happen so soon. And how long were they champions? Like a month?
Barely. But Shayna locks Ronda in the Kirifuda clutch as the crowd chants, "Thank you, Shayna." This is,
I hope Triple H knows what he's doing here, because in a normal world, this would be Baszler turning heel on Rousey. But for the sake of all of our sanity, this is Baszler turning face on Ronda Rousey.
It's not, though. They're going to tell you to cheer for Ronda, but nobody's going to.
But Morgan and Rodriguez are just as surprised as all of us, because they're looking at Baszler. They're looking at each other just like, what the fuck just happened? So Morgan tags in Rodriguez. She hits the Tahana bomb onto Rousey, and then tags back in Morgan. It's like, we've never seen Ronda Rousey this vulnerable before in her life. Let's take advantage of this. Morgan hits the Oblivion on Rousey, and for the 3rd time in the span of the year, Liv Morgan has pinned Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, but this time, you don't understand, though, Tomas. This time is different. And it made me so happy, because Liv Morgan has pinned Ronda Rousey decisively with no shenanigans. You know, no inside cradles. She pins Ronda Rousey clean as a whistle in the middle of the ring. That's what you do with Liv Morgan to make her look like a superstar.
And Morgan and Rodriguez regained the tag team titles. Good for them, I guess, but that's not really the big story of this match. It's the sudden heel turn or face turn or turn in general from Baszler to Rousey. You know, this is probably going to set up a SummerSlam match. In a perfect world, I would love to see Shayna Baszler just pulverize Ronda Rousey into the mat and send her packing. But who knows? We'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they'll surprise us with a good match. Other than that, I'll give this 2 stars. It was your standard match, but what an ending.
I'll go 2.25. I'll give it some extra points for the surprise finish. But, yeah, Morgan and Raquel regain the titles. And, you know, it's only a matter of time before Raquel turns heel on Liv now, huh? If the titles are as cursed as you say they are, why the fuck not?
Sure.
Why the fuck not?
Sure.
You know, Raquel
but at the same time, there is money in a Raquel Rodriguez-Rhea Ripley feud for the Women's World Championship.
I agree.
So I say hold off on that. Maybe hold off on that until after that feud. Yeah.
So, I mean, that feud's got to happen because Rhea and Raquel are literally the best of friends in real life. So,
yeah, you know, and they had an iconic feud in NXT.
Don't you dare say iconic last woman standing match, but
it was awesome.
No, it wasn't. It was a last woman standing.
Put Dakota Kai in a locker. It was awesome.
Yeah, but it was a last woman standing match. That's the worst stipulation. But anyway, not to digress too much, because we have probably what could have been the most physical match on this card, on any card. Gunther is defending the Intercontinental Championship against Matt Riddle here. First things first, Matt Riddle makes his entrance and he kicks off his flip-flops and it's fucking colored fish everywhere after he kicks off the flip-flops. It's like the animals just keep getting weirder and weirder.
Is this like some sort of stoner euphemism that I'm just not familiar with? Because I don't get it.
Next up, it's going to be frogs. Before you know.
Oh, fuck that. One thing I really want to point out is that Gunther and Riddle actually have a history outside of WWE.
They do.
And Evolve, and there's another promotion. They've wrestled in 3 different promotions.
I want to say PWG has to be one of them.
Yeah, PWG, Evolve, and now WWE. So I think that's really cool that they've kind of kept coming back to each other like this.
Yes.
And on paper, this is a fantastic match, but in actuality, this was good, but it was very short and very predictable.
It was solid for sure for the time they were given. I'm going 3 stars on this match. The reason being is that this crowd knew that Matt Riddle stood no chance against Gunther, because we know that Gunther holding this title, he is 2 months away from breaking the Honky Tonk Man's record as the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. We know he's going to hold it until at least Payback. So I think the next couple of matches that Gunther has on pay-per-view until he reaches Payback or Fastlane, whatever it is, he's he's in the driver's seat here, and nobody's taking that title from him.
They could still be very competitive matches. They could still tug at us and make us think that he's going to lose the Intercontinental title. And you know what? If they would have doubled the time on this match and made it a lot more dramatic, this could have been.
How long did they get?
They didn't even get 8 minutes.
Wow.
It was very short.
Very decisive match here.
I did like the story that they were telling in the match. Matt Riddle is selling his bum ankle that has been targeted by Imperium throughout the past weeks of Raw, because Matt Riddle injured Giovanni Vinci by putting him in the ankle lock, and that kickstarted this whole feud. So kind of a tit for tat kind of situation here. Gunther, his offense is absolutely amazing. It's simple but effective. Riddle, these 2 guys, I think they melded together really well, but the finish was very interesting. We've seen chops to the chest, we've seen chops to the back, but we've never seen chops to the foot. And
chops to the bottom of the foot.
Yeah, and then throughout the entire match, Gunther was pawing Matt Riddle like a bear. He was just open hand slapping him on the ground.
Good Lord.
But he takes Riddle's ankle and he just starts slapping the shit out of it. And that probably was painful as hell. And then he locks on a simple heel hook. And how many times have you seen the MMA fighter Matt Riddle tap out? Because he did.
I can't recall the last time Matt Riddle tapped out, because Gunther locks in the heel hook in the middle of the ring and Riddle is selling it brilliantly. He's not even in the heel hook for a minute, and he has no choice but to tap out to the heel hook. Gunther retains. Was there any doubt? 3 stars, it's solid enough, but
Yeah.
finish was never in any doubt there. But I'm curious, that's like Matt Riddle was beaten pretty handily in this match. Gunther is sitting there and like, how many finishers does this guy have? How many different finishes can this guy like pull off?
That's what I was saying earlier. His finishers are very like the definition of basic and traditional, but they're effective. He beat Tommaso Ciampa with an open hand chop.
He sure did.
He beat Ilya Dragunov with a clothesline. He's beaten Drew McIntyre and Sheamus with power bombs. Speaking of Drew McIntyre, there has been a heavy rumor that one Randy Orton was going to return at this show. And one thing I did appreciate about the show a lot, we got some big surprises and we didn't see them coming. And that's one thing I hate about the internet nowadays. I can't go on Facebook and scroll for 2 seconds without saying, hey, here's the whole fucking plan for the year that WWE has out, and nothing's going to be a surprise anymore. But this was, because we didn't get the return of Orton. We got the return of Drew McIntyre.
Yep, first time since WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, which we were in attendance for. Drew McIntyre lost to Gunther in a triple threat match. I believe after being pinned by Gunther in that match, if I'm not mistaken, which put Gunther over huge. Drew comes out, and the crowd in London obviously loves their fellow countrymen here, even though Drew is Scottish. They're singing the, oh, Drew McIntyre, that they greeted him with at Clash at the Castle. They stare down, gives Gunther a Glasgow kiss, a Claymore, and he holds up the IC title belt to raucous ovation, if I say so myself. That is the SummerSlam match. It's going to be freaking physical, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, really cool moment. I've never seen Gunther put down like that before. Ever since he has came into the WWE in 2018, I believe it was, in NXT UK, NXT, and WWE, I've never seen him put down so decisively.
Yeah, no, it's like Drew put him down like he was nothing. So,
and Drew McIntyre is going to be the best option for a final obstacle for Gunther to break this record.
Yeah. I think Gunther is going to, all things considered, but Drew McIntyre could give him a tough task ahead of him. So,
oh, absolutely.
Oh, this next match is pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a match that probably pissed off a lot of people when it was announced. But the whole thing about professional wrestling is you got to look at the big picture. On paper, this match, you think, why is this on pay-per-view? But when you really peel back the layers, it makes perfect sense. It is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, going up against Dominik Mysterio.
Yep, a lot of people
did we get here?
A lot of people likened this to John Cena versus John Laurinaitis from Over the Limit 2012 because it's such a humongous mismatch. John Laurinaitis is not in Dominik Mysterio's league, so fuck all of you who are saying that. But I get the comparison because Cody Rhodes is on the 2012 John Cena path after losing to Roman Reigns, which he shouldn't have. I'm still firmly convinced Bloodline Civil War did not need the WWE champion in it. But Cody. So essentially, he's, going around and Brock Lesnar's beat him at Night of Champions. Out comes Dominik Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, and they decide to rub salt in the wound. Dominik slaps Cody in the face, and Cody's basically, this is a whole, okay, this is a lesson in respect, kid. And if you want to match at Money in the Bank, you can have one. And this crowd, goddamn, Cody is still the guy. He's still the guy, I think. They're singing his song word for word. They are booing the shit out of Dominik Mysterio. This is a great environment.
So here's my thing with this match. I think they anticipated a little too much from this match because I had people theorizing up the wazoo what they thought was going to happen in this match, what kind of environment it would have been in. This match should go on last. Let's pump the brakes a little. This is nothing more than for Cody Rhodes to get some momentum and for Dominik to get the rub because Dominik is on another level right now. And one thing I noticed in this match, guys, it's been almost 3 years. I think it's time we stop calling Dominik a little rookie because he's not.
He's not. He's more over than Hook still. And
you realize came into his own.
You do realize, and I told you this earlier today while we were watching this, Cody has said in interviews before, what was the feud, Tomas, that really propelled Cody into, a bigger spotlight as a singles competitor? Do you remember what feud that was?
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, exactly. Yep, WrestleMania 27, where Rey lost clean to Cody Rhodes, if you remember. So, Rey was in a position to pick his opponent that he wanted to work with at WrestleMania, and he decided that he saw something in Cody Rhodes. So this match, I feel like, is Cody repaying the favor for Rey Mysterio by putting his son over in a position, to like. Obviously, a lot of people were theorizing Brock Lesnar could come out and interfere and cost Cody the match. What reason does Brock have to cost Cody? Brock already beat him.
One more quick thing I want to mention about the Rey thing. Apparently, Rey shot the idea to Vince to work with Cody, and Vince said no. And then Rey was very adamant about it. He's like, no, I'm working with Cody at Mania. So that's really awesome.
Hey, Cody, come here. I want to work with you at WrestleMania, as long as you don't send me off to another surgery, which I've had 5 times in my left knee,
But Dominik has really come into his own, and I know it was a rough first couple years, which I didn't mind. I thought Dominik was always a solid worker, but yeah, he found his niche, and he is like, his popularity or lack of popularity has skyrocketed. But I just see him work this match with Cody, and I'm just like, he's not a rookie anymore. He knows what he's doing.
He is looking so much more like the spitting image of his real father, Eddie Guerrero, by the day. Like, it's so crazy to look at him now and see the mullet growing out, and like he has mommy in his corner, women's world champion, by the way, not on this card.
That's another thing. When Rey got drafted to SmackDown and Dom stayed on Raw, I was a little upset because I wanted to see the feud continue. I think this was Triple H saying, Dom, you need to ride on your own. And this was like, we're going to separate you from your dad, and you really got to see if you can sink or swim on your own.
Well, he's got riding buddies in the entire Judgment Day, and they took an iconic picture this past weekend on Abbey Road, and they're walking on the crosswalk just like they're the Beatles. It's the best freaking thing. I love me some Judgment Day. I never thought I'd be saying that a year ago, but here we are. Cody is Cody's freaking over, like he always has been. Still think he's the guy to beat Roman, by the way. Not to digress too much. Dominik is, Dominik gets some offense in, but this match is really drawn out by the Rhea Ripley interference. She basically comes in, she pulls Cody off the apron, he lands face first on the apron, Dominik gets the upper hand for a bit, but Cody makes his comeback eventually. He hits the Cody cutter and a crossroads, and 8-minute match, he pins Dominik. I realize a lot of people are saying, this match didn't need to happen on pay-per-view. Yeah, it did. Cody Rhodes is like our John Cena right now in terms of like mainstream appeal in sports entertainment. The kids love them some Cody Rhodes. The adults love them some Cody Rhodes.
And more importantly,
Dominik getting this match on pay-per-view also like gives him such a nice exposure. Exactly. So 3 stars though. Solid match, all things considered.
I'm gonna give it 2 3/4. Even though I understood all of the basic fundamentals of this match, it was the sheer definition of basic. It was there to give Dom the rub. And another thing was why this match, I feel like I agree with you, needed to happen on pay-per-view. After the show, they had the Money in the Bank press conference, and Cody Rhodes was front and center to be WWE's, to be their ambassador. So you can't do that if Cody's not there. And, they're not going to fly Cody all the way to the UK just for him to do a press conference.
Exactly. But,
that's the thing. Like, people were theorizing way too much about this match. They were trying to peel back layers and make it more than it was. I'm like, guys, it's a way to get both these guys on pay-per-view. It's really nothing more than that.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Cody Rhodes is WWE's practically their face of the company in a lot of ways.
And seeing him be that ambassador role for WWE, it really made me realize, he really hit his ceiling in AEW.
He sure did, didn't he?
He knew he started a wrestling company and a successful wrestling company, but he could really read the environment, and he knew that the fans he was going to have a shelf life with the fans, and what his vision was for pro wrestling wasn't going to fit into what the fans wanted. So Cody, here's the thing about Cody Rhodes. He really bent over backwards for those AEW fans, saying, I'm not going to win the AEW World Championship. I'm going to do all these things that make you guys happy. But once he hit his ceiling in AEW, he just looks so much more comfortable in WWE.
And the crowd still resented him for everything he did to bend over backwards for AEW. The marks were still booing him out of the building, but
Dude
Cody
took
is so
a
much...
superplex through a flaming table, and they still didn't like him.
Yeah. The crowds in WWE like him much more. So that's part of why I think Cody's still the guy, even though Roman egregiously beat him at WrestleMania when we were there. But
I got a question for you that you could let swim around the mind. Do you think if what happened to Cody Rhodes in Hell in a Cell with the torn pec, do you think if that would have happened in AEW, that he would have still got the same like admiration and respect?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Point proven.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, Cody is so much more comfortable in WWE. But you mentioned something about them flying Cody Rhodes in just to do a press conference, and that's why he was on this show, just to do a match. They flew someone else in to basically cut a promo, and it was a huge shock to both of us. We were just sitting there, we're chilling, and then all of a sudden, John Cena's music hits. And I'm like, what is going on here? Is even like, and John Cena does come out, and he, and I'm like flipping out. Am I watching this right now? John Cena is making an unannounced appearance. This is a complete surprise. We don't know what John Cena was doing, on his film set, wherever he is right now. So I guess he had a few hours to, just take his private jet over to London and say what's up to one of his favorite audiences.
So I don't know why it took me a minute to register, but I was just sitting there and I hear Cena's music and I'm like, oh, excuse me, what?
Yeah.
When's the last time John Cena has shown up unannounced to a show, let alone a pay-per-view?
Mm-hmm. But he shows up, he basically says surprise, and he's basically there because when my horns hit, y'all will listen. And, he's got something to say here to the crowd that was singing his theme song word for word upon coming out, and I freaking loved hearing that. It really threw Cena off, too, because he's used to them chanting, John Cena, and all that jazz. We're not singing that anymore because he doesn't suck. Cena basically
this is the first
says...
time in many years that this crowd has been, 100% pro John Cena. And I feel like that was the case, too, at WrestleMania.
Speaking of WrestleMania, he tells the crowd that I think it's time we brought a WrestleMania over here. Interesting timing that he says that, because next month, AEW is going to be running All In at Wembley. So I feel like WWE is seeing this in a business sense. They are waiting to see what the attendance count is for Wembley for AEW. And they're like, I bet we can top that. We can top that because we run a whole weekend of business over there. So if there's a WrestleMania, I wonder where it is. It's going to be at Wembley Stadium where SummerSlam 92 was. So,
at first I took this segment as pretty innocent and yeah, they do deserve it. But John Cena, here's one thing about John Cena. If you haven't noticed the past couple of years, he's bulletproof. He is absolutely bulletproof in the WWE.
Damn right he is.
The WWE needs him. So if he wants to go on the mic and shoot a little, who the fuck is going to stop him? And that's what Cena did. He said that the UK deserves a WrestleMania, but the people in the back think that, no, the UK is going to hijack the show. No, they're going to be too noticeable. They're going to be too much of a distraction. And Cena says that the UK does deserve, but by, what I mean. Vince probably doesn't want them chanting all this bullshit during WrestleMania.
Well,
but they're having a good time.
He's not in charge. He's not in charge anymore creatively, is he?
And you know why Cena said, those things? Because let's go back to our WrestleMania in San Jose. A couple of weeks after that Mania, they went on their UK tour, and they were clamoring for WrestleMania in the UK. Yeah, I will admit, a bunch of hooligan assholes jumped the barricade out of SmackDown and caused a big old ruckus. They got thrown out by security. And there were rumors that after that segment, Vince said, this is why we're not going to have Mania in the UK. Like, these people don't know how to behave themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's not in charge anymore, is he?
But here's the thing. I took this as such an innocent segment for Cena to, kind of rally the troops. But then I realized, here's the thing. They use Cena as a vessel to kind of mask what you talked about with the AEW show. Because imagine if they would have sent Vince out there to say, you guys want a WrestleMania here? He would get booed out of the fucking building. But they're not going to boo John Cena. Not now. We love John Cena. If John Cena wants to have a WrestleMania, hell yeah, we want a WrestleMania. But he's being used as a vessel just to say, we're going to get the leg up on AEW because those fuckers can't have anything. We're the top dogs.
We're going to one-up AEW so much, and we're going to run WrestleMania in Wembley. And they didn't officially announce anything because John Cena was interrupted by one Grayson Waller, who is a recent call-up to the main roster. Him and his SpongeBob text on his graphics, he walks down to the ring, and he basically says that he's a big fan of Cena, just like Austin Theory, was like, yeah, no, I'm a big fan of you, Cena, but let me give you some of the Grayson Waller effect. Let me give you some of that Grayson Waller effect, if I can into that accent for a second. But
I like Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller's cool. He has a lot of charisma. He's a good wrestler.
His theme song's a bop, too.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Waller just got called up to the main roster. He hasn't been able to wrestle because he's been injured for the past few weeks. So he's been relegated to talk show segments. You just ask this man to go out in front of a rabid UK crowd and shoot on the mic with John Cena. So the nerves were there, and you could tell because this man cut a promo that went like 2 minutes too long.
Yeah, he drew it out a little bit too long. But again, it's like you're putting him in talk show segments with people like, Logan Paul. Obviously Grayson Waller is going to do a lot better than Logan Paul on the mic, but he goes out there with John Cena. He's got a Grayson Waller effect segment with Edge in Madison Square Garden this Friday. So it's a lot of him to ask. It's a lot to ask of him, rather. But he basically says, oh, no, I know of a better place to host WrestleMania. It's Wrestle Australia Mania, or whatever he said. I don't know. but
here's the thing. That's where the promo should have stopped. But he kept going and going and going and going and going. Why Australia should have WrestleMania. And, it's just like, again, he was probably nervous. He was probably
Who can blame him? Who can blame him?
He was there with John Cena, and he was probably a single match on SmackDown.
And him saying that he was a fan of John Cena, that was probably for shoot. He was probably like us growing up, seeing this guy being, the poster boy for the company, and now he's in there with him, cutting a promo against him. Like,
now look,
I'd be shaking in my boots.
The match at WrestleMania was the match at WrestleMania, but Austin Theory had already had a year-plus experience on the main roster, and he was ready to hang with Cena. Again, Waller has yet to wrestle a single match on SmackDown, and you just asked him to go out there and basically that's like cutting a promo against Hulk Hogan on your first day.
Well, I mean, granted, John Cena is much better on the mic than Hogan, brother, but anyway.
You get it. That's not the point. Yeah. I'm just saying star power-wise.
Right. So it basically winds up, John Cena ends it by hitting an attitude adjustment or an FU on Grayson Waller, however you want to
Nobody calls it the FU anymore, man. Absolutely nobody.
You never know. Someone might call it an FU as a joke, but Cena leaves. He greets the London crowd as he goes, and now he's back on probably shooting whatever movie he's on right now. But great.
But here's the thing. They want the Mania to be in the UK. They're going to be waiting because apparently they have like the next 3 years announced. So it's just a little shitty that Vince
they only have hold on. They only have Mania 40 announced, and then there's 2 in between. Mania 43 is going to be in Nashville. So London could feasibly take 41 or 42.
They're dangling the carrot in front of the UK right now. But again, these cities have to bid for WrestleMania.
They sure do.
The UK's prime minister is probably going to have to shell out a lot of fucking money to get the WWE over here. Which, again, it's all, they're dangling that carrot in front of UK. Like, you want the WrestleMania? You want the WrestleMania? Fucking pay us for it, motherfucker. It's a little dirty when you peel back the layers.
Yeah, a little bit. But again, if you think about WWE's main competition right now, running Wembley Stadium, they're probably going to want to one-up that.
It's the thing. It's like they don't need to one-up it. Like, I look at that and go like, guys.
Have you heard of this company before? They're all about one-upping their competition.
I know,
I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. It's just shitty because it's like, let AEW have this.
They're not going to, though. But anyway.
Exactly. It sucks. It's shitty. I hate it. It's dirty.
Yeah. So this is still a pay-per-view after all. We got 3 more matches to get to, including the second Money in the Bank ladder match on the evening, this time on the women's side. You got Bayley, who is representing Judgment Day, apparently. You have Io Sky, who's representing... Oh, God, that's going to be a botchamania. Poor Samantha Irvin. But you got Bayley representing the Judgment Day. You have Io Sky representing Damage Control, like she should be.
She's all by herself in Damage Control because
apparently
Dakota Kai is injured, and Bayley apparently defected to Judgment Day, so she's a one-woman faction.
We love you, Samantha Irvin. We're going to pull your leg about it here, though. You got Zoey Stark, who sucks. You got Trish Stratus. You got Becky Lynch. Yes, she does. And you got Zelina Vega, who also, got a nice little ovation. And as soon as the Legado del Fantasma... Here's the thing. The LWO's music hits and it starts with Eddie's Viva La Raza. It always fucking throws me off, man. And I'm like,
I get fucking triggered.
It's a great tribute, but I'm just like, the dude's been dead for like 18 years.
It's like, it awakened something in me. But that's like if somebody came out and their intro was and then it went into another song.
Well, when David Benoit goes to wrestle somewhere, he's gonna want that music. But anyway,
let me tell you, man, everybody's gangsta until that song plays number 30 at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, and then everybody dies. So, in any case, sorry to get dark here. This Money in the Bank ladder match I thought was good. Not as good as the men, though.
It started off very sloppy. Let me tell you.
Because Zoey Stark was in the match, and you're surprised?
Not going to put all the blame on her. The thing is, and I'm going to try and say this without coming off sexist, these ladies really need to plan out their spots better in these ladder matches because they had like 17 different ideas and they didn't go through with any of them. And because they weren't communicating, there was a lot of botches.
Yeah, I will say, for the most part, a lot of these spots that were planned, I thought were executed as well as they could have. Like Trish Stratus, of all people, in a Money in the Bank ladder match, which is a crazy thing to think about. Trish provides a ladder bridge for Io Sky to literally walk across Trish like she's walking the plank. And, she tries to climb the ladder that way. Only Trish Stratus could have pulled that spot off. Only Trish could have done that.
I looked at that spot and I just go, why did she have to walk across her?
Bit contrived. I agree.
Yeah, it was like, it was there just to be there. It was weird. I don't know. It's like, but props to Trish Stratus for being able to pull that off. She did some things in this match that were like, damn, for a woman in her 40s, she is pretty damn flexible.
Mm-hmm. Damn right. The crowd is also singing the Hey Bayley song for a good majority of this match, and Bayley is not really paying much attention to them. Huh?
Have you thanked Trish Stratus yet?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Thank you, Trish.
There you go.
Thank you, Trish. How about the curtsy? So yeah, Bayley is no selling London singing Hey Bayley to her, and she does not tell them if she wants to be their girl or not, but can you blame her? She's a heel.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Bayley is the queen of, I'm a heel and you're not going to like me. If I see you with a sign, I'm going to grab your sign and rip it up. If you cheer for me, I'm going to tell you to fuck off. She is so dedicated to her role, and I appreciate that so much. She doesn't beat into the crowd whatsoever.
Big story of the match was Becky Lynch coming in claiming that she has never won the briefcase. And on the Go Home Raw, she basically spoiled the result by climbing up and grabbing the briefcase, which meant that she was not going to win tonight. I don't
touch the fucking briefcase before the match.
Yeah, no, I don't think you needed that spoiler. I didn't think Becky was going to win anyway. She's great, but she's kind of locked in a feud with Trish right now. So I think those two would have kind of canceled each other out.
Also, to answer your question, yes, I would love me some Bayley.
God damn it. So would you argue that Zelina Vega, similar to Ricochet in the men's match, might have been the MVP?
She did some really cool stuff in this match. This is a match where her height and her petiteness really worked in her favor.
And her experience. And her experience. She is a seasoned veteran in the ring right now. And I feel like I could have trusted Zelina Vega to work any of those awesome spots that she was able to pull off, like a Hurricane Rana Meteora off the ladder to Io Sky. There was the nastiest spot of the match, ironically enough, was on the sloppiest wrestler in the match. So Zelina Vega has Zoey Stark up top, and she hits like a code red onto the ladder, similar to what Andrade did to Finn Balor in 2019. bouncing off the ladder. Gnarly. Absolutely gnarly. But yeah, Zelina Vega pulled off that spot really well.
Yeah, it was the spot of the match for sure. It was right there where this match really started picking up. Yeah. Because we got a very interesting, like, kind of final moments of this match where Io Sky is climbing to. Also, Io Sky performed a moonsault off of the ladder, which was pretty damn cool.
Onto the entire field.
She has the best moonsault in WWE. It's so beautiful.
Best moonsault of anybody in wrestling history. Sorry, Christopher Daniels, but I think she's got you beat there.
So, I almost said Zoey Stark. Io Sky is climbing the ladder, and who yanks her off but her teammate Bayley? And that was so heartbreaking. And you see the look on Bayley's face, like, I'm sorry, but I need to win this briefcase. It's everyone for themselves, and
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Because I want to go win this briefcase for the second time. Every woman for herself. So Bayley is climbing the ladder, and this whole finish I thought was executed really, really amazingly. So Bayley is climbing the ladder,
and Stratus tried to handcuff Becky Lynch like before this spot, and I had to bring that up because that plays an integral part to this finish.
Yes. So Becky is climbing the ladder, and one of the handcuffs that she has, she uses it to literally hook Bayley off the ladder like a fish hook. Ow.
Yeah, that was what the fuck?
Yeah. So that leads to probably the best spot as Becky is climbing the ladder. Io Sky comes back into the picture in between the two, and she handcuffs Becky through the ladder to Bayley on the other side. This was so fucking creative. This was so awesome.
What that spot is that she faked Bayley out because she's over there, like she's trying to handcuff Becky Lynch, and she's going, "Yeah, Bayley, climb the ladder, like I didn't forget you just screwed me out of this match a minute ago." But then while she Bayley lets her guard down, she grabs her wrist and then handcuffs her to Becky Lynch, and I'm like, "Yep, that was brilliant."
So awesome. Io Sky climbs over her own damage control partner, and Io becomes Miss Money in the Bank. She was my pick to win this. Thank goodness she did. Let her hold the briefcase for a long time. And Tomas brought up a very staggering statistic. This is the first time since 2017 that the women's Money in the Bank contracts cannot be cashed in the same night, because there is no women's title match after this. Io Sky's going to hold it for a while.
Or 24 hours after the fact, because Nikki Cross did cash in the next night on Raw, but considering Io Sky is on SmackDown, please let her, I was getting tired of the one night cash-ins. It was overplayed. It was cool for one time. It was cool when Alexa Bliss did it, but then Bayley did it, and then Liv Morgan did it, and then Nikki Cross did it the next night, and it was it was so consistent that I was assuming it was going to happen.
Yeah. But they're gonna tell this story of Io Sky and Bayley eventually splitting off, and I called Damage Control being split up this year, and there's no better time to do it. With Dakota Kai injured with a torn ACL, she's currently rehabbing. I hope she heals up soon. But this should be a very interesting little stretch of television for Bayley and Io, because at the press conference, do you remember Io and Bayley were sitting next to each other when they were interviewing the Money in the Bank winners? And as they're leaving, Bayley is the one to hold up the briefcase, not Io.
And she is hogging that briefcase to herself. There's being happy for your friend, but you could tell there's some jealousy there. And Io Sky actually goes up to Bayley and has to yank it away from her. I'm like, this is mine. What the fuck are you doing?
Exactly. So those two are gonna wrestle at some point, but it's gonna be a great match. God, this is a difficult match to rate, man. I don't know about you.
After thinking about it, I'm going to give it 3.25 stars. I really enjoyed the big spots at the end, but a good majority of this match was very sloppy.
I'm going to go 3.5. I had fun with it. Say what you will about the botches and everything like that, but I'm happy Io won. It was one of the most creative finishes I've ever seen to a ladder match. It was so freaking awesome. Props to the women for pulling it off, and can't wait to see where Io Sky goes with this contract, and I can't wait to see her eventually win the title on the main roster. So
yeah, it's gonna be fun. Again, both Money in the Bank winners this year, they have a story to tell, and I think that's very important. Don't have them just carry around the briefcase just to carry around a briefcase. actually put it on guys that you fully intend on putting the title on, and they're going to have an intriguing story. Because that's one thing I noticed that Triple H is all about when it comes to the bloodline, when it comes to the Judgment Day. It's all about storytelling. You want to give me a reason to tune into Raw on Monday night. Give me a reason to tune into SmackDown on Friday night. Give me a reason to tune into the next pay-per-view. You're just going to have matches just for the sake of matches. There was no story in Nikki Cross cashing in the Money in the Bank. There was no story in Austin Theory cashing in the Money in the Bank. There was no story with Liv Morgan doing it. They were just throwing belts on people just for the sake of throwing belts on them.
Yep. Thank you, Vince McMahon, for rushing everything and not letting things get under the pressure cooker. But anyway, not going to dwell on that too much. So up next, Tomas, speaking of titles and speaking of stories with the briefcase, what do we got next?
Yeah, but here's the thing. You want to talk about a match that had an excellent story going into it, but honestly kind of underwhelmed me at the end. It's the first pay-per-view defense for Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight Championship as he defends against Finn Balor. This is all really cooked around. That was a weird way to phrase that. All revolving around back at SummerSlam 2016 when Finn Balor defeated Seth Rollins for the inaugural Universal Championship, and Balor had to relinquish the title the very next night because Rollins would injure Balor during the match with a barricade bomb. So Balor didn't even get a chance to go with his title. And this has just been festering up in him for the past 7 years. And then on one episode of Raw, he is visibly just bothered by something. And he goes out to the ring to call out Rollins and says, "You took away from me the first ever Universal Championship. And now that you're the new World Heavyweight Champion after that resurrection, I'm going to take that away from you." So I thought it was an excellent story to build around. A lot of people have been saying like, "Oh, well, why is he getting mad about it just now?" Like, have you ever heard of holding a grudge? People hold grudges for a very long time. And I don't know if you noticed for the past couple of years, Finn Balor has gone through a total character change. Yeah, when he was a babyface, sure, he didn't mind it when he came back. Like, you know what? I got injured. It happens. But now as a heel, he could be like, "No, wait, I'm actually really bothered by that."
It's okay to be bitter, even in character, Finn Balor. You know, let it fester for a bit. So Finn walks out here, and another thing that he was very annoyed by, we'll get into it, but Finn walks out here looking like a reject right out of the Purge movies, which are, like, I love Finn Balor, again, but these fucking pay-per-view masks, like, how does he see out of them? How is he able to
breathe?
I am still waiting, Tomas, for the day that an interviewer, like, you know, approaches Finn and Gorilla while he's wearing this get-up, and he's like, "I can't breathe."
Yeah. So Balor,
I'm still waiting for that.
Match coming up with Seth Rollins. Falls over and collapses.
It's a badass look for him, but Seth, of course, makes his way out with the beautiful new World Heavyweight title, the big gold belt. And he goes in there, and the crowd is singing his song for a solid 2 minutes after he makes his entrance, like literally. When Finn originally challenged Seth for this match at Money in the Bank, you could barely hear what Finn was saying because the crowd was drowning out his entire promo with Seth's theme song. So it's freaking awesome. Freaking awesome that Finn is so annoyed by this.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. This wasn't a bad match whatsoever. I thought this was a good match.
No way.
But it was very short. And
12
I feel
minutes.
like this was another match that they didn't really let cook. Like this could have been a really good match if they would have let it go on for a little longer, have some close falls, have them, you know, get the crowd really excited for it. But it's basically Balor. Like they didn't even like tease like a barricade bomb. They could have done that. They could have like harkened back to the SummerSlam match. But, you know, it's them pulling out their greatest hits. Seth Rollins hits a pedigree. Balor hits his bullet drop kick. There's a tease up a coup de grace. There's, you know, it just felt very basic to me. It felt very underwhelming.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. There were some excellent sequences here. Seth Rollins does hit a buckle bomb inside the ring, and Michael Cole does say, "Remember, that's the move that injured Finn's shoulder." And I'm like, not exactly. It was on the outside, but you know, I mean, Michael Cole's been great these past few years, and you know, this one that was a miss for him. Yeah, we'll give him a pass there. So brilliant little sequence there where you have Finn. You know, they trade pinfall attempts. Nice little victory. O'Connor rolls there. Seth hits a super kick. Finn goes for the Pele, but Seth rolls Finn through and he hits him with the pedigree for a nice little 2 count there. It was brilliant. But then there's a kerfuffle in the crowd. They look towards the entranceway as Mr. Money in the Bank, Senor Money in the Bank, Damian Priest makes his way down to the ring. And he sits there at ringside. And Michael Cole is basically going into detail about this is a ghost of Seth Rollins' past. Maybe Damian Priest cashes in. Maybe he cashes in during the match and makes it a triple threat. But I was sitting there like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Vince McMahon.
Priest was really playing the mind games, and that's what I want him to be in his Money in the Bank run. I want him to play the mind game because here's the thing: he could cash in on Seth Rollins, sure, and Seth Rollins is gonna have to look over his back. Who's to say he doesn't cash in on his Judgment Day partner in Finn Balor? And now Finn Balor's got to start getting paranoid. He doesn't know what Priest is thinking because, like with Batista in 2005, Priest has a mind of his own.
Priest wants that title. Yeah, Priest wants that title.
Can make his own decisions. So that's what's it's making Balor very paranoid. It's got Rollins looking over his shoulder. But honestly, Priest is just out there. Play some mind games. I could cash in if I want, but I'm probably not going to. But I'm going to make you nervous, and I'm not going to tell you, obviously. I'm not going to be like Big E and say, hey, whoever wins this match at the end of the night, just letting you know I'm cashing in. Love you, Big E, but why would you do that?
For ratings. So Damian Priest is sitting there at ringside. Seth is daring him to cash in, and Damian Priest is so freaking smug at ringside. Reminds me so much of a young Scott Hall and just the way he carries himself. He goes over, he grabs a steel chair, and he just takes a seat. He takes a seat. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait this one out. Yeah. Finn Balor gets the upper hand. He hits a sling blade. He goes up to try and hit the coup de grace. But then Damian Priest gets up out of his chair, and then Finn looks over. He's scared. He's like, "What are you doing?" Then he misses the coup de grace. Seth only hits one curb stomp on Finn Balor to pin him. So I don't think this match was necessarily more so about the wrestling. It was more so about the tease of the Money in the Bank and the eventual. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Not the dissension. Yeah, the dissension, but the the decomposition of the Judgment Day. That's what I was looking for. Like the slow split off. I'm still going to give it 3.5 stars. It was still a very good match. I just kind of want a little more out of it. It was like they were hyping it so much, and this could have been. Give this match 5 more minutes, I'd probably be singing a different tune. Yeah. But now with this extra story element of Damian Priest, Seth Rollins is going to be looking over his back, and Balor's probably going to be very annoyed with Priest. Like, why did you get up when I was going for the coup de grace? Were you setting up to cash in the minute I won the title? Yeah, I'm going 3.5. This one was borderline very good. More so about the Priest, Priest interference. Seth and Finn's best match, I think, was back in 2018 on Raw in the build-up to Mania when Seth brought back the curb stomp as his finisher.
That was a great match.
I think that was their best match. So, say what you want, but their best match was on free television. So, oh man. How do we even start off with this next one, Tomas? The main event of Money in the Bank. It is the Bloodline Civil War. The WWE Champion Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa are going up against the Usos. First things first, bit of a mini rant. I feel like the title Civil War, just in general, not just in terms of this, but there is nothing civil about a war. Never. Because, if you're a history aficionado, the American Civil War, anything but civil. There were a lot of people that died during those years. Obviously, none of us watching this video or recording were there, but a lot of people died.
The definition of a civil war is a war between citizens of the same country. So it's kind of not like a civil war, it's going to be peaceful. It's a war between citizens.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, but
that just kind of popped up, and I was like, you know what? I better look up the definition of civil war before before we get a bunch of history buffs in our comment section.
Before I make an ass out of myself. But it's in general, I'm just saying there is nothing civil about war. No. And it's like the biggest paradox you could ever come up with for a title, Civil War. But
Yeah,
here we
especially if you
go.
don't know the definition, like we didn't apparently.
The bloodline, like this has been the best storyline in WWE in about a quarter century, I would say. What else do you want to?
It really came to a head after Night of Champions, what we reviewed when the Usos, or Jimmy Uso at least, turned on Roman Reigns and cost him and Solo Sikoa the tag team titles. Jimmy blew his top. He has absolutely snapped. He is tired of the bloodline, and he wants him and his brother to defect from the bloodline. And it's a one last ditch effort for Paul Heyman to get the Usos back in. Jimmy does kind of apologize to Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns has had enough with it. He tells Solo Sikoa to pull the trigger, and they kick Jimmy out of the bloodline. Paul Heyman is still trying to get Jay to stay in the bloodline by promising him title shots, promising him he's going to be the heir to the throne. He's going to be the next tribal chief. So the next week on SmackDown, Jimmy and Jay are making their decision. No, Jay is making his decision, and Paul Heyman tries that last-ditch effort to tell Jay, Jimmy never believed in you when you were the right-hand man. He never believed in you when you were main event Jay. And Jay scolds Jimmy for this, and with that classic line, well, you know what? You're out. And you know what? I'm out too. And he super kicks Roman Reigns. The Usos have successfully defected from the bloodline. And like I said, it's a war between the family.
It's crumbling. The bloodline is crumbling from within.
Yeah. Big brother Solo and big cousin Roman Reigns versus the twin brothers Usos. And this was, when they announced this match, I'm like, this isn't real. There is no way the bloodline's fighting each other now.
Well, I mean, when Roman Reigns holds the title for over 1,000 days like he has, and he is given a brand spanking new WWE Championship, which looks exactly like their business card designs have been over the past 10 years, he goes out there and, like, thankfully he doesn't take 10 minutes to walk down to the ring. This match, man, I feel like I think I liked this match more than Night of Champions in that main event if you're looking at the bigger picture overall. But the first part of this match, I will say, was incredibly slow.
But I mean, that's what people really have to accustom themselves and get used to at this point. When it comes to bloodline matches, it starts off very slow because this is an epic. Every single match going here forward is going to be a dramatic epic where you
32 minutes in this case.
Yeah, they really took their time with this match. And the beginning part it's a very, very slow build. It's very hard to describe. And it's better if you just watch it for yourself. But it's kind of like reading a book. Yeah, there's a lot of detail in there. There's going to be a lot of filler. There's going to be a lot of chapters that you may want to skip over. But hang in there, because when you get to those last 4 or 5 chapters, it's going to be the greatest experience of your life.
Yeah. It's like cinema, different strokes for different folks. But if you're watching like a really long movie, like a 3-hour Martin Scorsese epic, and yeah, the first part of it might be a little bit slow. Like if you're watching The Irishman, for example, you might be thinking, where's this 4-hour epic movie going? But then once you get towards, the big final conclusion of, the big end game, if you will, you're like, oh my God, this is riveting.
Is another really good example of that.
A lot of people trashed Endgame for its pace too, but I was like, it's 3 hours. I don't care.
Exactly.
I'm with these characters.
You want to skip to the very end where all the Avengers return, but you're doing yourself a huge disservice by just skipping the majority of that. And that's what I feel like these bloodline matches have kind of evolved into.
Yeah, absolutely agree. But Paul Heyman never takes any nights off, obviously. How this guy must be like towards the best shape of his life, carrying around 3 titles for Roman Reigns, huh?
And he really doesn't have to. Who in the world said you needed to carry all 3 of those titles?
I don't know. But he basically, Roman goes to his wise man early in the match for some advice, and he's like, would you want your kids to sit at this guy's table? And he points right at Jay. And I'm like, God, it's like your Thanksgiving dinner's already going to be as awkward as it is. But, but yeah, this match does eventually get quite good. Jey Uso is taking a lot of heat in this match, which really kind of surprised me in some ways, because I know Jimmy is like, Jimmy's the one who kind of instigated this whole civil war at Night of Champions. But Jimmy has usually been the heat guy in these those Uso tag team matches when the Usos were baby faces, especially. Usually it would be Jay getting the hot tag. But no, Jay was taking a lot of heat from Solo and from Roman. There was a great sequence where, I mean, as you're getting closer towards the end, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to like throw the rule book out the window and be like, who the fuck is the legal man? And it's so hard to keep track of that. But there was a point where like Jimmy tried to pin Roman, and I'm like, when did the tag happen? Tag happened off camera, and they show it to its play, and I'm like, God, it's so hard to keep track of this sometimes.
Well, when you have 4 big Samoan guys that are all related, 2 of them are twin brothers, and another is another brother. It's very easy to lose track of who's who.
Well, I mean, good news is at least you can tell the Usos apart now, unlike 10 years ago. So you get closer towards the conclusion, and this is where shit really starts to break down. There's a point where Solo hits the spike on Jay as Roman hits the spear at the same time. It's a nice hybrid. They're hitting stereo Uranagis or rock bottoms in this case.
I can't believe like Jay kicked out of that Samoan spike spear combo, because I thought that was pretty damn good. And Reigns and Sikoa are starting to have really good chemistry. I could have swore that was going to be the end.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Like you said, stereo Uranagis. I think that spear spike combo was probably. Oh no, there was one other spot, and Jay and Reigns have like the best like sequence of events. Oh well, before that, this is probably like my least favorite part of the match, because Solo Sikoa is setting up like a big Umaga splash off of the barricade through the announce table. And he takes his sweet ass time doing it. It's clearly telegraphed what's going to happen. And Jimmy is able to move out of the way. And Sikoa does take a pretty sick announce table bump to take him out of the equation. And in the ring, Jay hits a super kick. Reigns retaliates with the Superman punch. Jay retaliates with a super kick. And I thought they were going to do that back and forth. But then Reigns nails Jay with a spear. And Jay fucking kicks out.
Yeah. Well, I mean... Another thing I loved about this match, stolen finishers. The Usos hit Roman with a stereo spear after he does the ooh-ah gimmick that, the crowd always loves. Like, oh man, that was such a great false finish. And again, Roman Reigns is the master of kicking out at the last possible millisecond for dramatic purposes. He is the master of that. So we're sitting here watching this and we're like, okay, there's a lot of sequences where we think, okay, Roman Reigns is just going to take this home. The referee goes down. And poor Dan Angler, I think, tore his groin on the way out. It was really tough for him to stand up. And like if you
took
like it's
roast bump, because he gets like tackled out of the ring, but his groin does get caught up on the rope. And it's like, ow. And he comes back in the ring and he's not normal for the rest of the match. And I'm just like, you can't swap him out. He has an earpiece. Can't you say like, I gotta sit down. Like I gotta ice this shit, man.
But he's a trooper.
Truly are the unsung heroes of pro wrestling.
Finishes the match, like a true badass. But while the referee is down, the Usos hit Roman Reigns with the 1D, and you could have counted to 12 while Jay was pinning Roman there, but the referee was out of commission. Doesn't really matter if you think about it in the grand scheme of things that they hit him with the 1D and he pinned him for a 12 count because, the finish of the match, taking that under consideration. But after the missed Umaga splash, the one who started it all was Jey Uso. And here he is in the ring with Roman. They hit, stereo super kicks. Jimmy makes his way back in. Jay makes the tag, hits the Samoan shot. And he fucking pins Roman Reigns. He fucking pins Roman Reigns. I couldn't believe it. I
wasn't even predicting the Usos to win, let alone pin Roman Reigns. For the first time since December of 2019, at TLC 2019 against Baron Corbin, Roman Reigns has been pinned. How many days was it?
1,294 days.
Holy hell. And it is just crazy that when you put something off that long, it's so special when it happens. I'm seeing people complaining saying, Jay shouldn't have been the one to do it. Oh, now when he loses the title, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Yes, it is. And Jay does make sense because Jay is the one who started this. If people do not remember, it was all the way back after Roman Reigns won the title from Braun Strowman in The Fiend. The first person he saw in his new reign of terror was Jey Uso. And Jey Uso just wanted to congratulate Roman Reigns. And he noticed there was a change in his cousin. And Reigns gave Jay a championship match at Clash of Champions. And Roman Reigns proceeded to beat the holy hell out of his cousin. And that's where this whole thing started.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jay won a number one contenders match to get there, if I'm not mistaken. But
probably, yes.
Jey Uso's probably challenging Roman at SummerSlam, and it's going to be another great, dramatic chapter in the Bloodline saga. Man, oh man, I really dug this. I'm going to go 4 stars on it. Yeah, what more do you want me to say about this Bloodline stuff, gang? It's riveting, absolutely riveting.
You know what? I'm going to give it 4.25 just because, fuck it. I'm going to give it 4.5 because some of those near falls and just the drama at the end and the sheer fact that Jay pinned Roman Reigns was just, still not over it. I'm still in shock.
Fuck it, 4.25. Yeah, I'm still sitting here processing it all. And I'm like, did I just see that? Did I see that happen?
Between the 2 tag team main events we've got in the past couple pay-per-views, I can't make up my mind. I think I love both of them equally. They both serve their purpose. I may prefer the Night of Champions one just because I love the payoff for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And that just started the whole snowball effect. But again, I love them both for very different reasons.
Yeah, and y'all watching, listening to this podcast cannot say that WWE doesn't care about tag team wrestling anymore, because 3 pay-per-views now in 2023 have been headlined by a tag team match. Triple H loves his tag team wrestling, and he wants to get it over as much as he can. So this is how you do it. This is how you do it right here. I think I'm comfortable giving Money in the Bank 2023 an 8 out of 10. I think it was solid the whole way around. It was a really fun fun afternoon of wrestling. Thank you to Tomas for providing that for me, for sure. That was a real blast, real treat. But yeah, man. I mean, very unpredictable across the board. Damian Priest was a dark horse shot in the dark selection to win the Money in the Bank. I'm really glad he did. LA Knight is going to be just fine. Solid wrestling. Cody Rhodes, Dominik Mysterio having a good match. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor having a very good match. And the main event, obviously more Bloodline cinema. Really, really good. Not much to complain about with WWE. They're great.
Yeah, this was excellent. I will say Raw and SmackDown are always the most exciting thing in the world, but these pay-per-views have been absolutely delivering. Like the story is on point, and I just want WWE to keep up the momentum, not just on pay-per-views, but on TV as well.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest critique when it comes to WWE.
Triple H has booked a full calendar year of pay-per-views now up to this point, and he's been delivering on every single one. I can't really think of one weak pay-per-view that he's put together for us. You
know what? Now to think of it, I can't remember the last time WWE put on like a bad pay-per-view, like a really fucking bad pay-per-view.
Yeah. No, I sure can't, especially since Triple H took over. So
yeah, they've all been consistently good.
Yeah.
Because, you had SummerSlam, which was really fun. You had Extreme Rules, which was really good.
Clash at the Castle
Series, which was great. Clash of the Castle was great. There was no December pay-per-view, so that couldn't have been a stinker. Royal Rumble was good. Elimination Chamber was good. WrestleMania was great.
Awesome.
Backlash was great. Even the Saudi Arabia pay-per-views haven't been bad. So it's really good that these pay-per-views are in good hands.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see the second year of Triple H under the creative umbrella. Can't wait for SummerSlam. There should be a lot of good stuff on that card. Smash that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up for all kinds of new wrestling content over here. Next up on the retrospective will be No Way Out 2005, as we teased on our last show, headlined by the barbed wire steel cage match. Obviously, we're going to be talking about SummerSlam when that comes around. Shaping up to be a pretty fun-looking card with Cody and Brock, presumably for the final time. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso for the WWE title. Again, you can't really assume the whole card at this point, but you can slowly see it start to form and come together. So
they started planting the seeds for sure, like with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, with Drew McIntyre and Gunther. What
that's
they will
right.
be doing with the Bloodline at SummerSlam, like they started planting the seed.
Yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun, guys, and hope to have you guys along for the ride. Stay tuned for the next one. Take care.